Morning, everybody. How you doing? I've sat in the sun, which is a nice treat, but maybe not so nice for you having to look at my crow's feet. Hope you're all well today. Hope you're enjoying the spring-like day after yesterday's craziness. I think that was kind of nationwide, wasn't it? So I think it's back tomorrow. So do make sure you get outdoors at some point today, and then maybe observe some leaves, and then you can come home and make some leaves. So this is what we're looking to achieve today. I haven't finished this one off yet, but I'm hoping to finish it off today. And I've learned a lot because there's different levels of me making them, and I finally think with this grey one I've nailed it. So I'm going to show you the best way, I think, to make them. There's lots of different ways you can make them. So yeah, I'm Gemma. I'm here in Cardiff, and I love a bit of macrame, as you can tell on the wall behind me, a huge one. And then these leaves are really nice to make because they're actually really, really simple. So I'll show you how to do it. So the things you need. You're going to need some rope. Now, it can't be the kind of traditional rope that's kind of woven. It must be twisted rope. So when you look at it close up, it must be rope like that that's being kind of spun. The reason being is at the end of the process, we have to separate all those strands. So you need to be able to do that with it, because that's what makes the leaves nice and nice on the edges. So this is the stuff I use. I buy it, I don't know if I've got one with the label on, but I buy it from a company called Bobini, who are based in Holland, I believe, or Prague. I'm starting to doubt myself now, somewhere in Europe. But you can obviously buy it here as well. I am actually in the process of coming up with a kit. So I've been cutting lots of different 6-meter balls, which is enough for a leaf. But I haven't actually launched it yet, but it will be any time, possibly tomorrow actually, because we've got Holly's coming to help me tomorrow. So maybe if you feel keen, you could come back to my website tomorrow and get a kit. So you need some rope. This is 5mm stuff as well. You can go thinner, but obviously it's a bit more hard work. You have a lot more strands. You may want to add some beads. So I've got lots of little balls of beads here that I've bought from all over the place, to be honest, and that would add that effect there. So you can add decorative beads to the strands. When you're tidying them up, something like this is really handy. Spray starch, I bought it I think in Wilko's, I think they have it in Sainsbury's, those sort of supermarkets, and that keeps it rigid. But also what I've been playing around with is adding felt to the back, and that's really making my life a lot easier. You can see these smaller ones here, they kind of fall a little bit. So recently I've been playing around with adding sticky back felt. So I just buy that in sheets like so. And, I'm always a big, I always try and, encourage not going out and buying loads of stuff. So you could also, I'm sure lots of crafters have got felt at home, and then you could apply kind of a spray glue or a Pritt stick, something nice and sticky so that you could attach it to the back, but we'll get to that in a moment. And then general equipment is going to be a good pair of scissors, a ruler or a tape measure, and then a little bit of a surprise is a dog brush. I have tried using combs. It's like, I kind of laugh to think about how many hours I spent previously using combs to brush out the leaves when I could have just used a dog brush. So I picked this up in like a pound store. I think it was a couple of pounds, but it's been very useful I don't use it on the dog as well, but it has become quite a useful craft tool. So let's get started. So there's loads of different ways that you can cut the thread, but I use these measurements here, and then I use this kind of template to help me. So this is an A4 piece of paper, so you can always kind of recreate something similar. And you'll see that for the center piece here, I use a length of about 80 centimeters, and I'll explain why that's so long in a minute. You could actually make it smaller when you know a little bit more about what you're doing. And then I'm going to cut 8 pieces at 25 centimeters, 8 pieces at 20 centimeters, and 8 at 15. Now, when I was thinking about doing this session, I was thinking I'll say that straight away, and then I'll say all the other stuff, so you don't have to sit here and like watch me cut all those lengths of rope. But I totally forgot about that, so I'm going to quickly cut them. So we've got 1 at 25 centimeters, and then I use that as a guide to cut 8. Even though I don't get that nervous about doing these things anymore, these videos. Sometimes I lose myself. So yeah, let me know if you're there. Let me know if you've got any questions. Let me know what crafty projects you've been working on. It was nice to see all the people that the virtual village hall brings, and quickly, as fast as I can, cut out the ropes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. I think the delay. Hi, yes. So Sheila, nice to have you join us today, or join me today. So there's my 8 at 25. The next one's a little bit shorter at 20. And the reason I've come up with these measurements is lots of the videos that I watched online just use exactly the same length and then cut away like so much. It just made me sad. So I've kind of edited the numbers to make it a little less wasteful. Oh, great, we've got a few people here now. Got Shirley and Sue and Jacqueline. Nice to see you all. I hope you're do let me know what you've been crafting. I'm assuming if you join this, you like crafts, and if you look behind me, you'll probably guess that I also like crafts. There we go. 1, 2, 3. So yeah, the kit I'm thinking of putting together. I think the delay on my kit is that I'm finding it a little bit stressful to choose what colour combinations to offer. It's just this Bobini range, this like nice natural rope that I've got. They just have so many nice colours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the final one, 8 at 15 centimetres. So I just need to stop like worrying about that and just have a go and see what happens. But like I said, I think it'd be quite good, because then you wouldn't have to go and buy like 100 meters of rope, and then you'd have to be stuck with the same color. You could have a variety of colors, which is always nice. And then obviously I attach it to pieces of wood that I find when I'm out on dog walks. This one keeps turning around and revealing its felt side, but obviously when it was on a wall, you'd be able to position it and that would be hidden. So last couple to do. Hi Rosemary. Hi Joanne. 3. And you'll notice I'm cutting them quite quickly, and they don't actually have to all be perfect. As long as they're around 15, you'll see why in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more to go. 1 and 2. And on my table here, to show you what I've done. There you go. I've put them in 3 little bundles. I should put them a bit more organised. That's my long ones. Those are my medium ones, and those are my short ones, so I don't get them mixed up. Now, I mentioned the middle piece being 80 centimetres here. So that's because it's this one here. Okay, ooh, this one here, this grey long one here. So if you make it short, what I've discovered, like this funny thing here, is that it's stuck at that short height. The great thing with this one is after I finish it, well, I can't anymore actually because I've put the felt on the back, but I could move the knots up and down a little, and I could kind of tinker with the length. And then if I've got any excess, I could cut it off the end. So it's kind of worth making that a little bit longer so that you've got a little bit of room to play with. And then as you come up with your design, you may be able to be a little less wasteful. So I'm just going to go with that sort of length because I know that I want this one to be a nice long one. Okay, so that's my long piece that's going to be the center. Now, if you wanted to make this not as a wall hanging, and you wanted to make it as, I don't know, a key ring or just a simple single one, you could use something like some masking tape to hold it down, or a good old peg board here. And that's a really good way. What are these called? Clipboards, sorry. That's a really good way of securing your work, so you can go. But I know I want it on my wall hanging, so I'm just going to pop it on there straight away, because then I know it's in position. So here we go. I'm going to put it on this end. To attach it, you just fold it in half. This is the 80 centimetre piece. And then you take the loop at the top, and then you pass those 2 through. So Sheila here is doing some patchwork and quilting. I wish I could do both of those things, but I just don't think I've got the accuracy skills. I quite like fast crafting, but I'm very jealous of people who have got the patience to do those. I'm sure some of your work is lovely. So here's my center of my leaf. Okay, so that's going to run down the middle there. If I wanted to add a bead, I would do it now, and I would literally just put both ends through my chosen bead I often spin it so that it goes through a little bit easier, and then I pull it out the other side, and then that's it. But I actually have put a bead there, so I'm actually not going to put a bead there. So I'm going to take that back off because this is a real piece of work that I want for my wall. But that's just to show you. And then the process is so simple. You're just going to take 2 of your long ones at once. Let's put those away a second. Let's get a bit tidy so you can see what I'm doing. A bit closer. Here we go. And you're just going to fold them in half. And I'll do it the same way as my little instructions, actually, just so I remember every time. So I'm remembering. So on the left, I'm going to do it underneath there. So I've made this little loop. I folded my 25 centimetre piece in half, and I've put it on the left-hand side. I'm saying this out loud because I always find it hard to remember, and I like to do them slightly differently. So I must remember this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to pass it. Sorry, I'm trying so my hands aren't in the way. I'm going to pass it underneath that loop there. Okay, so it's gone underneath. And then I'm going to pop those 2 ends through the loop on the other side. And then I'm going to pull them horizontally, and there it is. It's attached. So it's like if anyone does any macrame, it's like a square knot, but you're using 2 pieces of rope to do it. So I've already forgotten what I said. Oh, and I'm also picking up small pieces. Am I? No, they're my long ones. There we go. I think I'm going to do the opposite this time. So I'm going to put that on that side. Let's see if this is opposite or not. We'll soon find out. So that's underneath the centerpiece there. I'm putting it up. I think I did this the same way last time, didn't I? 1, 2, we'll soon find out. Yes, I did. I know that because they look the same. This time I'm going to do the other way around, and I'm going to put it in the middle of them. I'll show you why now. So that's my underneath one on that side. And this time, going underneath that one, and then I'm picking up those 2, pulling them through. There we go. I'll explain now why I've done that. Can you see that knot has got that little ridge there on my right-hand side? And then that one's got it on the left-hand side. I quite like that look. I like the alternate look, but you can try both. So you can either do it exactly the same way every single time, and it'll create knots like that, one after the other, or you can do it opposites each time, and they kind of twist like that. Both are correct, whatever you prefer the look of. In fact, I guess in ways, because I get a little bit confused, my right and the left, I probably shouldn't do this way, because it does actually like make everything take a bit longer. And generally, so like, yeah, I got it. There we go. Now, what I meant earlier about that long one being 80 centimeters there, can you see that now if I want to bring that leaf a little bit higher, or I want to bring it a bit lower, I can move it, which is quite handy if you kind of aren't set on a design yet and you're just freestyling for now. So let's get carrying on. So I'm just going to do that with all the pieces, or just in case you've missed it. So just going underneath, trying to keep them quite even, make sure they're folded in half quite neatly, because it'll annoy a little bit. Some of those are a bit long. It'll annoy you later when you're cutting your leaf and you've got a little bit that's limiting how wide you can cut your leaf. So just try and keep the ends fairly even. Over and under. As they get a bit shorter, it gets a little bit harder to hold them. So you just got to be a little bit more careful. But like I said, oops, that's a short one. 2 mediums. So the first 4 are made out of the 25 centimetre ones. The next 4 are made out of the 20 centimetre ones. And then the next 4 are made out of the 15 centimetre ones. And that means that you end up with a nice kind of like a leaf. You end up with something that looks slightly like a leaf. And then you've just got to do a little bit of cutting to fix it. I seem to be a little bit obsessed by doing it one way rather than the other. Seems to, oh, short one. the pressure. Right, let's see if I can do this right. So under and like this. That's the same way. So let me just check. So that one is going over. That one's going So just talking to myself a little there. 1, 2, 3. There you go. And then 2 here. And cool, a couple more to go. And as always, it'd be lovely to see what you create with your, if you do have a little go at this. It should be under. And through. And then under, over, and through, nearly there, 2 more to go. Under, over, and through. Last one. Yes, I see that Virtual Associate has asked. Yeah, this video will be available for who knows how long, forever maybe, which is really good. I often even go back to them myself because sometimes I like mix up my crafts quite a lot, and it's really handy having this catalogue of videos available on Virtual Village Hall, because often I forget how I like teach something and I'm about to teach a class, and I come onto Virtual Village Hall's web page, and it's very easy. You can just type in like I did one recently on zips, and I really couldn't remember how we turn the pattern inside out, and the kids were about to arrive for craft club, and I quickly typed in zips, and there was my video. And I don't really like listening to myself back, but it's worth it when it means that you remember how you make something. So here we go. So currently looking okay, but obviously nothing like this. So this is the next stage that we need to do. So all you've got to do is sometimes I cut them a little bit before. I just feel like if you're going to comb them, then you may as well make your life a little bit easier and do a little pre-cut. Now that's the good thing about drawing yourself a leaf, and especially if you want to make a certain type of leaf. That's something to note actually, is I've decided my leaves are going to be this long. But obviously, if you wanted to make a super long leaf, you could just keep going, just keep attaching layers. Even if you didn't like it now, you could just add 1 or 2 extra, depending on whether you wanted a wider leaf or a narrower leaf. It's totally editable, this pattern that I've kind of come up with, which is kind of just a bit of basic information for you. So what you can do is you can just, sometimes if you're not feeling confident about your leaf cutting skills, you could draw a shape and then you could lay your design on top, and then you could cut roughly to the line. You may as well go over at this stage and cut it a little bigger than what you need, because you will definitely be cutting it again. But I just think it's kind of wasteful to spend loads of time now cutting all, to comb all the ends. You don't want to cut this little tail off. You want this to form part of the leaf. So make sure you leave a little bit there. They stay secure. Don't worry. If you do feel a little bit nervous, you could place a little bit of glue or something on that bottom one at the back so that it didn't move. But I haven't had any problems with mine, and mine get moved around quite a lot. And then just so I'm roughly cutting out, I'm making it much bigger than the leaf. But I just feel like it's, like I said, a bit wasteful to spend lots of time. But the ones, like I said, I've seen online, you make all the strands the same length and then you cut off huge amounts. So I feel like this is a little bit better for wastage. So here we go. So I've got something that looks a bit like a leaf. And now I'm going to take my doggy brush and I'm going to use the metal side first, because I find that's quite good at dividing the strands. Now what you might want to do is, what you do want to do is hold the knots there in the middle, because what you'll find is it could be quite easy to grab one and accidentally kind of loosen it or pull it out. So just keep your hand over it. Start as close as you can to the beginnings of the rope and comb all the way out to the outside. So you can see already they're starting to untwist and starting to separate. Doing that. Trying to get as close as I can. I hope you don't mind. Okay, so there we have a rough looking leaf. So we're going to change now to the softer nylon side of the brush, and then you're going to really go for it. You'd be quite surprised how much combing it needs, but it just seems to suddenly work. I know that sounds a bit strange. What you need them to do really is mix and match the strands. You don't want them to stay in their original positions. You want them to kind of meet each other and start almost like kind of like felting, I suppose. So you want them to connect with each other. So there you go. You can see that's coming just lovely there. Do this side. And it's quite an enjoyable part of the task. So, but yeah, I can't believe all those years that I just used kind of standard kind of hair combs and did this for hours. This is so much easier. Okay, so I would probably spend a little bit longer on this if I was, you know, not on film, if I was relaxing at home. So I'm quite happy. That's not bad. So now I'm going to do one final cut. So I'm just going to make sure that the strands are where I want them to be. And I'm going to cut. I wouldn't be too fussy about this. I think you can go a bit mad and end up a little bit like when you're cutting a fringe, end up cutting, you know, too much and end up with the world's smallest leaf. So I think, you know, try and be quite relaxed about it. Don't stress, because obviously it's meant to be a natural form, a leaf, so it wouldn't be perfect. So just like this. And it will move around a little bit. You can go in a little bit at the top. I often find it's quite nice. I'm terrible at my leaf names, but those big kind of tropical leaves that you get do that, don't they? So that's nearly the end. And like I said, I would spend a little bit more time, and really I need to comb, I can see, a little bit nearer the knot. So I need to kind of spend a bit more time combing those, but we'll, like I said, we'll stop there just because you've got hopefully a good idea on how it's done. It's a bit addictive, as you can tell. Then what, like I said, my new thing, because this gets quite floppy, is there's a couple of things you can do. You can either buy something like a spray starch, or you can create your own kind of starch mixture. So literally a little bit of kind of corn flour and a little bit of water in a spray bottle, spray it on, maybe a bit of hair dryer, or leave it to dry naturally. You can use hairspray. You can use a tiny bit of PVA in a little bit of water as well, and spray that on, and then also leave it to dry. And that acts as a kind of good way to kind of make those strands. Because otherwise, you see, they just fall a little if you hold them up against a wall. But recently, I've been cheating a little bit and using some felt. And all I do is cut a triangle about half the size of the leaf. I don't want it to stick out. I still want the leaf to kind of have a bit of movement, like so. So the sticky back stuff makes life a lot easier. So I've literally just cut myself out a diamond. I just had some blue left over that I thought would look nice. And then I'm going to flip it over so that I'm looking at the back. Got one last chance to kind of make it look kind of soft. You do need to separate these strands a bit, make sure that they're all facing. It would actually be easier if it wasn't attached to the wall hanging, to be honest. And you could add it at a later date if you found that a little bit easier. 2 seconds. You don't attach it, because once it's on, it's not. It's never coming off. It's very sticky. I'm going to try and put them as close together, the strands, because I don't want that blue to be shown through. Actually, I'm going to lift it a little bit. Those two, so it's a bit closer. There you go. That should sort it out. And then just going to peel that back, pop that on the back, So it's press it down, and then I can have one more comb of the bits, and then flip him over, and he stays much more. He stays much kind of more rigid then, and I don't have to worry too much. So like I said, I do need to do a little bit more tinkering. I can already see that the edges have kind of changed size one more time, but I would probably just keep working, making more leaves, and then at the end have like one final cut. You may even want to do that in its kind of wall position, so actually just put it up on the wall and then kind of prune it and make it perfect on the wall, because whilst it's moving around it will keep changing. Oh, thank you, Angela. Thank you, Sheila, as well. So yeah, like I said, quite a simple process, and just remembering to make the 2 loops. One goes over, that goes through and then back, and then you just pull them tight, and then you end up with a leaf after, not too long, as it haven't been on for too long. So yeah, I'm hoping to finish this off now, because like I said, I want to do those kits, so I need a photo to advertise the kits, and I've got a bit more work to do on this. But honestly, once I kind of put it on the wall, brush it all up, and then like put a bit of spray starch on it and leave it to dry, I think it'll look perfect. So that's the rest of my morning. So hopefully you've got a nice rest of your day as well. And then I'll be back. When am I back? I can do some crochet stuff. So there's a multi-stitch blanket that's become really popular within my workshop. I did it a few times on Zoom, and then I've now started doing it in person. And we just learn 3 or 4 different crochet stitches every week, and start with very basic ones, and then start doing some quite decorative ones. So it ends up being a little bit of a crazy blanket. In fact, I can show you. So anyone who can crochet, even just a little, it's actually aimed at anyone who's even just a beginner. So my dog looks very cute. She's sat on the blanket at the moment, so you might want to see. Here we go, Gwenny. There you go, advertising my blanket for me. There she is. So do you like the blanket, Gwen? Yeah, I think she does. So yeah, feel free to come and join, even if you just want to come see Gwen again. All right, have a good day, and hope to see you again soon. Bye.